Okay, let's just say I did some grocery shopping today. So like usual, I went to my local record store today and I picked up a few things. And I'm not going to say what I have in here, and that's what's fun about it. I know what's in this bag, but you don't. So if you enjoy these sort of pickup / find videos, then please give this video a like, subscribe if you are new. And as usual, let's showcase what I got. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show is by a very notable band, and this is one of their 90s albums. Came out in 1993, if I'm not mistaken. And the band is Aerosmith, and this is their album, Get a Grip. Alright, so this is a pretty big album for them, especially in the 90s. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be straight up. I am not a fan of this period of the band. I definitely prefer their 70s stuff, and maybe a little bit of their 80s stuff. And for the 90s, probably maybe a couple songs, but in terms of full albums, I'm not quite into it, unfortunately. But I got it, so I know there's a couple songs I did like. Probably the big one is Living on the Edge. I think that's probably my favorite song on here. The rest is kind of hit or miss. Honestly, there's some songs I don't remember, but for me, I know the two big songs on here are Crying and Crazy, and I've never been a fan of those two songs. To me, I always confuse those songs. Their choruses are pretty much identical. It always bugs me. But yeah, I still went and got it, because why not? Because I guess this is kind of their last really good album. Well, really good to me in terms of the grand scheme of things. But you know, we'll see if I get the rest of the catalog. At this point, I'm kind of content. Well, actually, no, there's actually another album I do want to get. I want to get Rockin' a Hard Place, because I remember hearing that on Spotify, and I remember enjoying that. But other than that, aside from that, this is probably going to be the last Aerosmith album I'll get in quite a bit. So I got that. Let's move on. Alright, so next up we have David Bowie. And this is one of his later albums. This is another 90s album. I think either 96 or 97. We have Earthling. So on the album cover it's Ert, H-L-I-N-G. I don't know if you're supposed to say it in a specific way. I'm just going to call it Earthling, because I'm not even going to try and pronounce it like that. But yeah, this is one of his late 90s albums. And I mean, when it comes to David Bowie, I mostly just have his 70s and his 80s stuff, but nothing of his 90s. I do have Black Star, of course, but that's probably that's his last one. But when it comes to the 90s and 2000s, I pretty much don't have anything. So might as well give this a go. Of course, knowing Bowie, it's something very different than what I'm used to, but you know, I'm definitely open to giving it a chance. So I might as well show the discs, of course. And while I'm at it, let's quickly go back and let me just showcase the Aerosmith one real quick. Got okay, I just realized what's on the disc. But yeah, this one just folds out really long. So there's all that. Got the lyrics and everything. Pretty cool. Alright. There's that. Okay, just want to throw that out there real quick. So now let's go back to Bowie. So again, there's the disc right there. And here it is. I think it's another fold out. Yes, it is. Some very interesting imagery here. Glide it across. And if you're gonna ask, no, I don't know any songs on this album. Up next, we're gonna go with the Foo Fighters. I do have one other. I already, the color and the shape, I believe that's what it's called. So I went out and found their debut album. Of course, By this point, it was mainly just Dave Grohl. I think he mainly did the whole album himself. I think he played all the instruments. And I know this came out not too long after Kurt Cobain, offed himself. So this is kind of like him kind of starting something new to kind of help him cope. So take out, has a nice feel to it, the book, the fold out here. It has a much different feel. So there's the band. Of course, I believe by the time the album came out, Dave had already got all the members sorted. But I don't think they played too much on the album. Maybe a little bit. But I know I've heard it was mostly Dave. So there we go. I do dig some Foo Fighters, not like my all-time favorites by no means, but they're a good band. And Dave Grohl, good guy. All right, let's go to the Rolling Stones real quick. So we have Between the Buttons. And according to the sticker, it's actually a European press, although it's on the back it has the American track listing. So interesting. But yeah, so we have another Rolling Stones album in the collection. And it's been a while since I last heard it, but I did remember liking it quite a bit. But again, it's been a while. So like I said, it's the US track listing, so the UK is different. But here we have Let's Spend the Night Together as the opening track, Yesterday's Papers, the big hit Ruby Tuesday, Connection, She Smiled Sweetly, Cool, Calm and Collected, All Sold Out, My Obsession, Who's Been Sleeping Here, Complicated, Miss Amanda Jones, and Something Happened to Me Yesterday. Of course, the album cover is pretty nice too. Now, this particular copy has this giant white strip on the bottom, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be a to take out. But I'm probably going to have to take off the whole front and just replace it because I don't want to deal with trying to remove it. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But it's good to have another Rolling Stones album in the collection. So let's quickly. This is what it looks like inside. Then it's not much to see on the inside. That's all you get. Of course, now you can see the album cover properly. And just on the very bottom, there's the buttons down there. Yep, right on Charlie Watts there. Okay, and let's go ahead and put it away, and let's go ahead. We'll keep moving. So now, let's go on to this one. We have some more jazz fusion. So, we have Mahavishnu Orchestra, Birds of Fire. So I have the Inner Mounting Flame, and I really enjoyed. That was one of my favorites of last year. And I actually found another one, and this time it's in a jewel case, because the one I have was probably from a little box set. But yeah, pretty simple cover. I do like the colors though. There's the back. Okay, not much to say on the CD, just replicating the Columbia label with the inside with some birds. Open it up. Okay, again, this one also has a different feel, much like a more quality type of paper. So you have photos of the bands, of course. Who you have of course John McLaughlin on guitar, Jerry Goodman on violin, Jan Hammer on keyboards, Rick Laird, hopefully I said that right, but he's on bass, and then you have Billy Cobham on drums. So there we go. Just gives you a little history, of course, and more photos. Alright, it's pretty sweet, so I'm definitely looking forward to trying this one out. Okay, now this one I was pretty looking forward to getting here. Okay, this is one I've wanted for quite some time. So it's another Jeff Beck album, and this one's called Truth. Okay, I believe it came out late 60s, I believe. 68, 69, somewhere around that time. And 10 songs. So, of course, you have Jeff Beck on guitar, but you have Ron Wood on bass, drums Mick Mick Waller, something like that, and some other guests. Of course, Nicky Hopkins is on piano as well on a couple tracks. But of course, on vocals, you have Rod Stewart. So pretty cool. I hear a lot of great things about this album. People have said this is definitely one of Jeff's best. So I'll be the judge of that. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. Has a nice yellow disc. Let's take it out. I'm not expecting a whole lot because it feels very thin. Yep, not much to say on it. Just that's all you get, just the bare minimum. All right, well that's what you'll expect with these early CD issues. Okay, you're almost done here. All right, so next up we have another Hawkwind. So I bought Hall of the Mountain Grill. Really enjoyed that one. And I found this. This is called Quark, Strangeness, and Charm. Interesting name. And from what I've gathered, this might be a much later album. I could be wrong though, because on the back it says copyright 1988. So I don't know if that's correct. But I'll look it up afterward. But yeah. So yeah, I have no idea what to expect with this one. Of course, Hawkwind is one of the big names in the space rock genre. Kind of progressive rock too, but you know, and maybe even psychedelic, but you know, mostly space rock. All right, got that. Okay, just 4 more to go. Okay, I'll save that one for later. All right, next up. So up next, we have yet another Deep Purple album. So yeah, still building that Deep Purple collection. And this is called The House of Blue Light. So this is again another late 80s album. I've heard some mixed feelings on this album. Some people like it. But I do think there's not many people who will say this is their most favorite album. I'm sure there's maybe a few, but not many. But yeah, we'll see how I feel. Just another fold out. Okay, just slide it in. Let's keep on going. So now we just have 3 more to go. Oh, right. So this is probably the most modern album in here, even though I think this album came out in like the mid 2000s. And this is by a band I've heard of, but haven't really heard anything. And that band is the Arcade Fire, or just Arcade Fire. And this album is called Neon Bible. And this is actually, that just slides out. Here's what it looks like without it. Just not much neon. So I guess that's what this is for. There's nothing on the back, but on the sleeve here, it does have the track listing. So again, I don't really recall hearing anything from Arcade Fire. Again, I know the name, but I would not be able to give you a song. But I know they're pretty well liked in their genre, which is, I think I looked it up, you know, kind of more indie rock sort of thing, something like that. So this is a thick booklet here. So we'll go through this quick. So just got a lot of lyrics. You can pause on each page, but just by glancing at it, there's a lot of pretty interesting imagery. Probably means something, but you know, again, I'm not going to go in depth right here, right now. But yeah, almost there. Again, there's a lot of things in here, lots of, probably a long album maybe. But you know, I'm still open. I'm still very much open. Again, still broadening my horizons when it comes to albums that came out during this period. All right. Okay, and now we'll move on to the second to last one. And that one is actually a Paul McCartney album, a Paul McCartney and Wings album to be specific, and that is Venus and Mars. All right, so, yep, definitely heard some good things about this album. One of the more recognizable ones. This one's a little dusty, eee. So it should be easy to clean though. But anyhow, not much to say on the inside. So it's not part of the archive collection, which I mostly have, but you know, it's okay. It's totally okay. And this, and of course you can see it right here, includes 3 bonus tracks. The bonus tracks are Zoo Gang, Lunchbox / Odd Socks, and My Carnival. So you got the lyrics there. And there's a little photo of the band in the desert. All right. So there you have it. Now we have one more to go. So I saved the best item for last. But first, I need to give some backstory. So we all know the Beatles, the biggest band in the world. And of course there's going to be a lot of collectibles, whether it's a record, a CD, or figure. There's always a market for Beatles memorabilia. But there is one Beatles item that is extremely sought after. So much so that it goes for extreme prices online. And that of course is the Butcher cover. In 1966, the band participated in a photo shoot directed by Robert Wickham. This would be part of a bigger art project where the band wore these white smocks or whatever, and there's meat and there's decapitated baby dolls everywhere. It was a very bizarre image. It was around this time when Capitol, who was in charge of releasing albums for the North American audience, really wanted a new album, but they didn't have a cover. So somebody submitted that particular image and it got printed, and it led to this whole debacle. Stores did not want to put it on shelves. Radio people were appalled by it. So it just was a huge mess. And so to compensate, it was recalled, and some of them were given new covers. Well, some were, they just slapped an image on top of the original. So it's a very rare thing to find nowadays, but I got one. I have it right there. So let me pull it out. So here it is. The album is called Yesterday and Today, and here is the infamous Butcher cover on CD.
You silly sod! What? You got us all worked up!
Okay, yeah, I was kind of teasing there, but you know, I found it and I was like, how could I not pass this up? So from what I've gathered, and shout out to Tyler, who's in our group chats on Messenger, according to him, this was probably part of a box set which had a lot of the Beatles American releases in one, and this was one of them. So yeah, so there it is. There's the infamous cover, of course, and there's the back of it. And of course, it's in this like sleeve, kind of replicating what it would have been on a record if you had the real thing. And of course, the big difference between this and an original, for one, it's smaller, and like I said, it goes for very high prices, but I got mine for like $5. But yeah. So what songs are on this, you might ask? Especially for those who aren't familiar with the American releases of Beatles albums. So on side 1, you have Drive My Car, I'm Only Sleeping, Nowhere Man, Dr. Robert, Yesterday, and Act Naturally. In side 2, you have And Your Bird Can Sing, If I Needed Someone, We Can Work It Out, What's Going On, and Day Tripper. So yeah, pretty fascinating. Definitely very fascinating. Of course, I will be honest, I'm not sure how the original, I don't own an original obviously, but I'm sure that if you had a real thing, the picture would be a lot clearer, because I will say the print on here is kind of pixelated, not quite clean. But yeah, so let's see what's inside. So it is a slip, but there's actually quite a lot in this thing. They kind of packed quite a bit. So let me just slip it out. Okay, let me just get everything here. Okay, so here's the disc, and it does replicate the capital rainbow label there. Comes in mono and stereo by the looks of it. Okay, let's see what else it has. So it has this extra sheath here. I'm wondering if this is Japanese or Chinese. So that's all, I'm assuming it's Japanese. And on the back you have just more of the same. Now, don't know what to say about that. Then we have the booklet. Yeah, pretty thick booklet for stuff like this. So of course you see it again, and a little kind of a slight image. You can see there's a little bit differences with this one. And on the back you have more of the photo shoot. So this was to celebrate the 45th anniversary. All right, so this gives you a lot of history and more behind the scenes of that infamous photo shoot. So it's pretty cool. This is what the original record would have looked like. Some documents there. Probably about the album cover. So I know it was around this time where the Beatles really wanted to shift away from their clean-cut image. They wanted to be a bit more edgy. And they tried. Didn't really work for them. But, you know, eventually they would find that edge. And it does come with bonus tracks too. Some outtakes and stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. But the other thing that's interesting about this particular thing, because it also comes with this, so this is what they replaced this album cover with. And I think I said it briefly, but there are some copies where they didn't really, they would just take a giant sticker and just slam it on top of it. And you know what? This actually is a sticker. So you can kind of see it back here, but it is a sticker. So if you wanted, you can just remove the back here and just stick it on top, so you can replicate those those other types where you have the sticker on top. So yeah, so you have that option. I'm going to keep it off though, because this is a bit more more eye-catching, I will say. But there you have it. That is all the CDs I bought at the record store. So yeah, no records, but maybe, who knows, maybe another time. But you know, I'm mostly a CD guy, so records are going to come a bit slower. So of course, let's recap what I got. So of course, we have this replica of the Beatles Yesterday and Today. All right, then we have Venus and Mars by Paul McCartney and Wings. Arcade Fire, Neon Bible. I don't know if I have, there it is. I had it upside down, I think. Deep Purple, The House of Blue Light. Hawkwind, Quark, Strangeness and Charm, sorry. Jeff Beck, Truth. Mahavishnu Orchestra, Birds of Fire. The Rolling Stones, Between the Buttons. Foo Fighters, debut album. David Bowie, Earthling. And finally, Aerosmith, Get a Grip. Alright, so as usual, let me know your thoughts on any of these albums that I showed. And until then, please give the video a like, subscribe if you are new. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye for now.